Hey Trails Collective, Ian here for the weekly rundown of the Northeast trail running world for the week ending November 12th, 2021. Hopefully this finds you all doing well. So in these episodes, I will bring you any bits of media that caught my eye or attention this past week. Some of the events and races where the registrations are open but about to cap out. Some that may be about to open to keep on your radar. And then dig into some of the FKTs of this prior week, as well as bring you some of the voices from some of the events that ran in the Northeast region this past week. So that's what's coming at you this episode. I have another busy week that I'm getting through. So some of the results I didn't get a chance to really dig in too deep. The team that I'm assisting in coaching, the Ithaca College Women's Cross Country Team, we have our regional race this weekend. Heading out tomorrow, and I've also been pouring myself a bit into this week trying to get some of the details together for the Highlands Trail Running Festival, which I'm hoping to bring to the Highlands of North Jersey next May. So I'm pretty excited about that. It's basically bringing back Iron Minds, which is an event that I put on in 2019, 2018, somewhere in there. We were off while a connection to a new staging area was getting completed, and then COVID kind of threw a monkey wrench in things as well. But this would be rehashing and expanding on the Iron Minds concept. I'm pretty excited. It's absolutely beautiful terrain, very rugged, a lot of elevation gain. Not what a lot of people associate with New Jersey, but it should be pretty burly and incredible. Stay tuned for that. I'm pretty excited. It requires good amount of communications with various entities. Number of permissions are needed, and so I'm working my way through that at the moment. But stay tuned. In any case, has made for a busy week. But let's get into it. A couple pieces in the media that caught my attention. One was MJ Eberhardt with a trail name of Nimble Wheel Nomad at age 83. Broke the record for the oldest individual to hike the Appalachian Trail. And we'll plug a link here to check out the story. And then Shane the Trail Dog. Thanks to Matt Lipsy, for plugging this article. Pretty cool thing. Shane is a dog owned by an individual who lives adjacent to the Nittany Loop and State College. He is a dog trained to find and guide potentially lost hikers on that loop, and becomes a great companion for those hiking or running the loop. So pretty cool, just short story for you to check out. And then the last piece of media, I had mentioned it maybe a week or two ago, but it is, I think, out there more now. Ellie Pell has started to upload some of our prior episodes as well as these weekly rundowns into Strail. I think it's a something Stitcher, where it basically will get basically creating an audio file out of all of our media and creating a typical podcast version out of it. And it cued my own attention this week just when I opened Spotify here in the shop, and the Trails Collective podcast came up as a suggested podcast. So that was the first time I was actually seeing it and catching it. So you can catch all of these episodes now if you don't have the bandwidth to watch the YouTube version in just the audio file. And it's, I think, in, I don't know, maybe like a dozen different locations, or wherever you'd find probably your favorite podcast, you can find the Trails Collective podcast. And thanks in advance to any who do find that and maybe plug it in their own feeds or circles for any others who may be interested. All right. UltraSignUp Hotlist. Grayson Highlands, half 50K and 50 miler, put on by a friend down in Virginia. It is in the Trails Collective lineup of the most scenic events in Virginia, and it's slated to run on April 23rd. It is 97% full with only 13 spots remaining, and so it will probably cap out by this weekend. Again, a truly beautiful course for you to check out, Grayson Highlands. Registration is opening this week on November 13th. The Run Amok 50K, slated for April 2nd in Brownsville, Vermont, will open up registration. And on the 19th, Fire on the Mountain 25 50K, which just ran this past weekend, will open for next year's registration, again, November 19th. There were a few FKTs on the week, and I'm drawing from the fastestknowntime.com website. Sarah Ports Connor, Ellen Beth, Brittany Tulke, and Julie Frazier laid down an opening women's unsupported mark of the 2 hour 50 laid down a mark of 2 hours 52 minutes for the 14-mile northern section of the Mattatuck Trail in Connecticut and in New York. Bethany Gerritsen, returning from her mixed gender team FKT of 9 hours 45 minutes from May, set a new women's supported mark of 10 hours 5 minutes in the 86.2 mile Lake Placid Niner Challenge. And to give you a bit on what that challenge is, the Lake Placid Niner is a newer, I think it's been a few years. Challenge was created in 2008. Yeah, there it is, 2018. This challenge consists of 9 peaks: Catamount, Bear Den, Baxter, Big Crow, Hurricane, Pitch Off, Von Hovenberg, Mount Joe, and Cobble Hill. And there is an ultra option to complete all 9 peaks in a 24-hour period. The route initially chosen consisted of 29.5 miles of hiking with 9,500 feet of gain and a 54.82 mile car travel between peaks. So nice work, Bethany. And Laura Tuttle shaved 35 minutes off of Jen Thomas's 2016 mark for the 9.6 mile Hunter Mountain Loop, running it for a new women's unsupported FKT in 2 hours and 3 minutes. Nice job, Laura. All right, so getting into results, we have voices from a number of states here. And again, I didn't get a chance to dig in to break down some of the results of the events that I did not have voices for. So I apologize if I'm shorthanded a few of those events. Thanks in advance to those events or individuals that do reach out to me in advance of the episodes or just following up. For sure makes my job easier here, so thank you. In Connecticut, 8 hours at the farm in Brookfield, Connecticut, went down. In Massachusetts, the Stonecat 50K in Ipswich, Mass. Stonecat is another classic Northeast event. It uses a 10-mile mixed trail loop in the Willowdale State Forest. Dates back to 2001. COVID set back what the annual runnings. I think maybe they missed it in 2020 or didn't run it in 2020 from COVID. Otherwise, it would have been their 20th year this year. Of 162 finishers, Devin Jones took the overall win in 3:59. Top woman on the day, setting a new course record, was Rachel Bainbridge in 4:26. And Rachel was moving, and pretty great to see a new course record set on such a classic event with some pretty deep roots. So that's pretty awesome. And here to cue us into that event and day is the new women's course record holder, Rachel Bainbridge.
Hi, I'm Rachel Bainbridge, and this weekend I ran the Stonecat 50K. So Stonecat as a race has been around for a pretty long time, I think since like 2001, and initially it was a marathon and a 50-miler, up until 2019 when they switched the race to just a 50K, so it's just a 50K now. This was the second year that they did it as just a 50K, and this was my first time running the race. I'd come to cheer on friends in 2019, and I thought it looked like a really fun race, so I signed up to run it this year. The race takes place in Willowdale State Forest, which is in Ipswich, Massachusetts. Willowdale is like a really cool place. I've actually run there like quite a bit before, so I'd actually like probably run all of the trails that were in the race before doing the race. I just hadn't really run them in that order. And so I would recommend, if you're in the area, Willowdale State Forest is really nice. It's got some very, very nice single track. It's great for trail running or mountain biking if you like mountain biking. And so the course format itself is that it's 3 10-mile loops, followed by kind of 1.1, or it's not followed by, it started with 1.1 mile loop, kind of where you go around the school in the beginning before you head out on the course. Right, so the weather for the day, it was looking really nice. The high was 50 degrees. The only thing was that the low was 26, and so this is kind of my first time running in below freezing weather for this year. And so if you know, when you kind of have that first cold day, you're not really sure how you should dress. And so the big thing for me was like I wasn't sure if I was going to wear gloves or not, and I made the decision to not wear gloves, which was like the wrong decision, the absolute wrong decision. Right, so we started the race right on time, 8:15, and I am wearing no gloves and I'm holding like this water bottle, and my hands were just like freezing after like 5 minutes. It was like so cold to be holding. So the water got cold and my hands are cold. I have no gloves, and my hands are just like absolutely freezing. Right, so we started out the race, running around the field. I found myself, I was in first place for women, like just kind of like right off the bat within the first 200 feet of the race, it felt like. yeah, I wasn't super sure how the competition was going to be like in this race. I thought there might be some strong people in it. You never know on UltraSignUp if someone's not ranked, if they're, a strong runner just coming in for the first ultra or something like that. So yeah, but I was in first place. I was running like pretty comfortably, except for my hands, which were absolutely freezing. And so you do this 1.1 loop around the school. You're running on a field. It's not so bad. It's like pretty flat. The footing's not terrible. Then you go out and you're running along. There's a road that kind of goes into Willowdale from the school, and I've run this road quite a few times because we like tend to start our runs in the school parking lot there. And So after the first 1.1 miles, to add to this like very cold hand situation that I have going on, we have to run through this it's a puddle, but it's actually like really a stream that's kind of just going over the trail, and it's like 30 feet long and like kind of like past ankle deep. I remember I'd actually previewed the course the week before, and I remember it was like so deep I could barely run through it. So and the only option you really have here is, because it's so deep, because we got like 8 inches of rain the week before. Is that the only option you have is just to like go straight through this thing, even though it's like absolutely freezing. So, I have my cold hands, and now I've run through this super cold puddle, and I am like the second mile of the race. I just feel like I can't feel my fingers, and like all this water that I've run through is like just freezing to my legs. I was wearing shorts, so I didn't even have any like protection on the skin on my legs. So I was just like so cold, and I think this is probably one of the worst parts of the race for me, is like the second mile when I'm just trying to warm my body up. But after that, after I started to warm up, I started to actually feel like a little bit better. The course is kind of like a really nice mix of fast, like fire roads, and then single track where you're kind of like winding through. And so it's like fire roads, I feel like, can get like a little bit boring if you're running them forever, but they're nice because they're fast. So it was really nice. You'd be like running fast, and you'd get broken up by running the single track, and then you'd be running fast again. And this course actually contains some of my like favorite single track that's in Willowdale. So I was having like quite a bit of fun, especially on the first loop when I was feeling like nice and fresh. Right. So the first loop was fairly uneventful. Just kind of raced. There was a woman maybe like 30 seconds behind me who was keeping an eye on when I was like going through the single track. There's somebody else on the course, ended up running with for a little bit, and we got to chat about Willowdale and stuff like that, and that was nice. So I came through first loop, just went by and grabbed my ginger ale. I bought all this junk food before the race, and I was like, I'm totally gonna eat all of this. I'm not gonna eat like just goose or anything like that. But when I stopped in my drop bag, it was just like ginger ale and then goose. So I ended up eating like 8 goose for this race. I know it's like really gross, but I don't know, that's what works for me. So first loop, second loop, I went out, and the second loop, I was still feeling pretty good. One thing I forgot to mention is that there's an aid station on this course. So you have the start finish, that's an aid station, and then there's an aid station out there at around 5 miles in the loop. So I think it's like very nice placement of the aid stations. I'll also say that the course is like supremely well marked. Even when I was like by myself, like totally foggy ultra brain, like I didn't miss a turn. It was really great. Whenever you had to make a turn, they put a big arrow in front of you, like go that way. So that was really nice. So yeah, second loop, I was mostly by myself. I made a comment that I think I saw more deer than runners when I was out there on the course. I saw like 6 deer kind of like cross over the path. Third loop, so I came through the second loop, so the first loop I came through and I counted, there were like, I saw the second place woman and the third place woman, and then when I came through on the second loop, I saw just the second place woman, and she was like, it's kind of cool because you have this out and back where you have to go through the start finish, so you can kind of like figure out, how far you are ahead of people, and I think we estimated she was like 5 minutes behind me. And so nice, also what was nice about coming through the second loop is I got to see my friends who had come to cheer, and it was nice. They, encouraged me to keep going. So I started to feel very good for the third loop. Yeah, I actually there's a bunch of people I knew at this race, and I just want to give a quick shout out to my running group, Northeast Trail Crew. If you're in the Boston area and you want to run with people who like trails, you should definitely come check us out. Always looking for new people. So I had knew 6 people who were running this race, and I saw some of them who were out there, or actually maybe more than 6 people. Yeah, and they came out to cheer, so it was really fun. So third loop, I I felt actually really good. I've like never felt this good at the end of a 50K. So I was really excited. I was really kind of like hammering through the course. I was like, this is the time where I can like really like run pretty hard. And yeah, usually at the end of the 50K, I'm like, oh my God, just like get me through this. Like, just make it end. Like I'm ready to be done. But this time I was like running pretty hard, and I didn't start to feel like too bad until mile 28 or 27 or 28, and then you're basically done. Which was really nice. So I had a very good day. And the coolest thing was on the third loop. There was just a lady standing in the woods like playing bagpipes, and I was like, this is awesome. Like I hope I'm not hallucinating this, but it's really cool. Right, so I came through the last loop, and it like maybe 28 miles. I kind of knew. I was like, okay, I'm definitely like still in first. I don't think anyone's gonna catch me, so I probably have it. And so I came through and I ran through these puddles. And by the end, the puddles now were like really nice. It's getting warmer, and I felt warm. I was like, oh, like this is a nice relief from like kind of the warm weather. And so came through the puddle for like the last time, and ran into the finish. And I actually ran way better. So when I previewed the course, I kind of like thought, giving myself kind of like a time goal. The old course record was like 4:39, which is maybe about 9-minute pace for 50K. So I thought I could kind of come close to that based on my pre-run. But I actually ran way faster. I did 4:26. So the results aren't up yet on UltraSignUp, but I think that's probably like a 13-minute course record if they get up. But this is only the second year they ran the 50K, so we'll see what happens next year. Yeah, so I would highly recommend this race if you are in the area. It's really, really fun. They do a good job. Yeah.
So Rachel, thanks for that clip, and congrats again. That is pretty awesome. And nice work to all the Stone Cat crew with keeping that going. In Maryland, there were 3 that ran. I did not get clips on them. The Bobcat Trail 11 mile in Thurmont. The BRRC Night Moves, I forget what that stands for. Baltimore Roadrunners Club, maybe? Night Moves Trail Race 6 miler in Baltimore. And Fire on the Mountain 50K in Little Orleans, Maryland. All went down. In New Hampshire, there were 3. I would have liked to get a couple more clips out of these. A couple weren't on my radar, and I'm guessing they were pretty. But I just didn't get a chance to get clips in. The Blackout 5K, 10K in Jackson, New Hampshire went down. And the White Lake Ultras 12 and 24 hour in Tamworth also went down. One that I was hoping for a clip for, but one is the Hamster Wheel, 6 hour through a 30 hour. It ran in the Hillsborough County Fairgrounds in New Boston, New Hampshire. They went in with a bit under 300 entrants, so a solid field for a timed event. And the 30 hour specifically looked like a pretty strong field with pretty fast and competitive women up front. And they don't have the results posted yet, at least not that I could find, so I can't see how that shook out yet. I did connect with, I think, overall winner on the day was or 2 days at that point, I think, Michael Lepresti. And he's had a really busy week, but he's still hoping to get a clip in. So I'm thinking by next week, we will get a clip from Michael, and the results should be live by then to talk more on it. In New Jersey, the Batona Trail Races 33 mile and 55 mile went down. Batona comes in as one of the most scenic events in New Jersey, according to my Trails Collective basically feature article or breakdown of scenic events for you to check out state by state in our region. They saw 70 finishers in the 55 miler and 105 in the 33 miler. Records fell with Matthew Vera and Carly Bean running hot in the 33 miler. They both established new men's and women's course records of 350 and 459 respectively. And holding true in the 55 with some hot finishes as well. Nigel Bates and Amy Page also established new course records with their wins in 739 and 1016. Taking us deeper into Batona is an individual who has been cranking out trail and ultra runs and finishes over what looks like maybe a newer, at least tracked by UltraSignUp, trail and ultra career. I think one of those individuals that's doing like 1 to 2 events per month, in some cases 1 every week. It's just pretty wild. And he also has a history at Batona. So a great voice to have in the mix, weighing in on the Batona trail races, Dave Gilbert.
Hi, I'm Dave Gilbert. I'm 42 years old. I've been ultra running since I was 35. This past Saturday, I ran the Batona race. And this was my third time doing it. You have two options. You can do the 55 mile or the 33 mile. And I've done the 55 all three times. In 2018, I got 9 hours and 40 minutes. In 2019, it took me 9 hours and 1 minute. I almost broke nine, not quite. And this year was the median, 9 hours and 17 minutes. The logistics of the race probably is the most nerve-wracking. I live in Tinton Falls, Central Jersey. It's about an hour from my house that I had to drive to South Jersey, and we had to be on a bus at 4:30, and you know, 45-minute bus ride to the start, which is in the middle of nowhere, and it's cold, it's dark, and the race starts at 6 a.m. So we got dropped off in Ong's Hat. We listened to the race briefing, and everybody got their stuff together. You put your drop bag, you get your hydration pack, everything all set to go, and it started at 6 a.m. In the beginning, yes, it was cold. We were moving well to keep warm. You have to pay attention to the pink blazes in the beginning, all throughout the course. But in the beginning, especially because there are a lot of turns. If you miss a turn, you could end up really off track and lost in South Jersey. Nobody wants that. So pay attention to the pink blazes when you run this. The terrain is very runnable. It's flat, it's fast. There's just one hill, Apple Pie Hill, a couple of rollers. It's really, elevation is not your worry. The ground is a little hard to push off on. It's a soft terrain. It's very sandy. And, after 20, 30, 40 miles, once you get to 50, your calves are just aching. So just be mindful of that when you pick out your shoes. It's going to be soft ground. So a lot of turns in the beginning. Pay attention to those pink blazes, but then you do wind up on some straightaways, and that also you have to be careful. You don't want to daydream because eventually you will have some turns out of nowhere, and you don't want to miss them. The aid stations for the first marathon distance are approximately 5 or 6 miles apart. They're fully stocked. You have grilled cheese, you have peanut butter and jelly, you have pancakes, bacon, whatever you want, breakfast, lunch, dinner. It's all in the aid stations. The race directors, John Swanson, Vanessa Klein, they do an amazing job taking care of you. And every aid station that you get to, you have to check in. John and Vanessa want to know that you get to each point. They're keeping track of you. Nobody gets lost. Everybody makes it home. So yes, that is the first part of the race. And about that time, I want to say in the 20s, especially if it rains, the ground gets very soggy, swampy. You have to go through one part that's kind of, marshy. There's some planks you can walk over, and you're probably gonna get wet feet, but they'll dry. Don't worry. Then you keep trotting along, and after that aid station, I want to say around 30 or so, maybe the 50K mark. That's when it becomes a little difficult because the aid stations now are going to be 9 or 10 miles apart. And that reason is because, you're really in the middle of nowhere and they can't get, their trucks and cars in there to stock an aid station. So if you have a hydration pack, just make sure it's packed and you're prepared for, the last, I want to say 20 miles, they're spaced out. when you get to the last aid station, um, definitely stop there. I know it's 50 mile 52. The race is over at like 54 and a half, or 55. Um, you don't want to skip that aid station because you've been going 10 miles without aid, and you want to make sure you take a little bit in so you can hammer that last, mile and a half, 2 miles. The scenery down there is just absolutely gorgeous. So I know you're in a race. I know you'll be pushing some of you, but please make sure you take it in. Just the Pine Barrens are a gorgeous area. Um, my favorite part of the whole course is Basto Lake. It's just exquisite, just the scenery there. Um, so just, we get caught up in our races, we get nervous, but make sure you absorb, everything that's going on. Talk to people. I've made some of my best friends at these races. This community is absolutely wonderful. Um, I really enjoyed seeing everybody, especially after, being locked down for, a year or 2 years, not having our races. They were taken away from us. Now we have that all back. So make sure you take the time to socialize, even though, yes, I know you're in a race. So if you want to do a really amazing race, it's a great first time ultra. It's great for veterans too if you want to be competitive. It's gotten very competitive the past couple of years. So there's definitely some healthy competition there. But if you want a really good time, I would highly suggest the Batona. Do the 55, or if you're not up to that, do the 33. You have a very generous cutoff. I believe you have 12 hours, so it's even hikeable. You'll meet some really wonderful people. You'll be around some gorgeous scenery. And at the end, when you cross the finish line and you get your handcrafted wooden medal, you'll be able to hang out, talk, eat some food. They have chili, they have hot dogs, anything you want, you got it. So check them out. Batona Race, John Swanson, Vanessa Klein, they are the best. So I would highly recommend this race. So get out there and get it done. All right, thanks, guys. Thanks for listening.
So Dave, nice work out there, and thank you for that clip. And to Vanessa, RD's John and Vanessa, nice work, and for Vanessa for following up. In New York, fall back into the trails, 10K and 50K went down to Grangeville, New York. And the Moreau half in Gansevoort also went down. And this is one that I think we covered for the first time last year. It wasn't on my radar then. It is running outside of Saratoga, New York. Uses some quality trail with a fair amount of gain and a bit of technicality thrown in. The course sounds pretty, and I'd love to see the signature staircase portion. In their second year, they saw 95 finishers, a decent pickup from their inaugural year of 65, so nice work. And here to give us a deeper window into Moreau is Bill Hoffman.
Hey everyone, I'm Bill Hoffman from Mountain Dog Running, and I'm here to give a race report on the Moreau Half 2021 race. This is a 14-mile half marathon, or half ultra as like we like to call it, at Moreau Lake State Park that we do in sometime in early November. It's our second year running it, and the course is a really awesome course that does a single track all the way around from Moreau Lake, all the way to Lake Bonita, and then along the Western Ridge and back to Moreau Lake with about 3,000 feet of vertical gain and 14.5 miles, depending on which GPS you're using. So race day -1. Tim and I had to get up really early to go mark the course at the just barely daylight, which was like 7:30 back then in that time zone. But we had a beautiful morning and lots of fun putting up pink flags for everyone. The dog enjoyed the views of Moreau Lake. This is looking out from the top of the Staircase of Death. The fog was amazing on the water, and we were hoping that it would be just like this on race day the next day, and it was. Just amazing views. This is the Hudson River along the start of the Western Ridge. And the inevitable race morning chaos came, and we had to give bags out to everyone. And inside everyone's bag was a Mountain Dog Running pint glass, a couple really cool stickers, one of these t-shirts, and a race bib. And we had a great start with a beautiful morning with the mist on the lake. And then the race was in progress. We had photographers at the Staircase of Death, which is a really steep climb right after the start, maybe a couple miles in after you come off the beach. Looks something like that. And one of our runners from last year seems to have died and turned into a skeleton on the race. And everyone had a lot of fun with that. These are our front runners coming through. There's Jake Stuckey, amazed at the skeleton. Sean Dunnigan behind him, who lost his shirt within the first quarter mile, even though it was about 30 degrees out. Some of the runners got real close with the skeleton. The next place we had anywhere to view anybody was the Bonita Lake Aid Station, which is all the way down on sort of the far end of the course. And another parking lot, easy to get in. And we had some oranges, bananas, water, vegan cookies, and someone taking pictures. So my brother-in-law took a picture of me to test out his camera. There I am on race day. And there's our front runners coming through. Remember, second place right here, it said, "Oh my God, he's going so fast." But they both did great and really enjoyed the course. My friend Rusty Blue, who signed up right before the closing of the race and had a really great time out there. Just really enjoyed sharing the trails of Moreau. I sort of cut my teeth on trail running on these trails. And I think that's one of my favorite things about this race is it lets me share that with more people. And it gives me great joy to see people practicing out there and Strava runs on Strava from Moreau. A lot of people just having fun. The next place was Group W Bench, which is a stone bench. And our photographer from the Staircase took the pink trail over and got some people coming down there. Always got to have a bearded guy at a trail race. Next place our photographer was the Spire Falls parking, where we also had a little bit of water for the runners. And people could really ham it up for the camera here. This number 84, James Brown, wins the day for the best race pose. Some other runners coming through doing their crane karate move. Lots of cranes out there. But the end, my only friend. The end is near. People are really happy to get to the end. This is one of our last runners coming in. Just love to see smiling faces. So in third place, we had Heidi Reed from Wilmington at a 2:41.18. Second place, Lynn Edwards from Queensbury, our youngest runner of the day, running at 2:37.43. And our first place woman was Shannon Surdek from Saranac Lake, 2:31.44. As part of our Lake Placid Run Club that came down there, and I'm hoping they'll bring more next year. It's their first time at the race. In third place male was Simon Pohita from Delmar at 2:17.17. Second place male was Jared DeRochers from Boston Lake at 2:13.06. And Sean Dunnigan for the win again from Boston Spa ran 2:07.25 again. That's the exact same time to the second that he ran last year at our inaugural race. There we are with the winners, Tim and I. Some of the runners needed a little extra help. Our food truck canceled on us, so we had to do our first ever mountain dog running barbecue. It worked out really good. We had hamburgers, Beyond Burgers, beer, all kinds of fun. People hung out. It was a great day. And then, of course, after the race is over, you got to go pick up all the flags. And there I am, finally done on Sunday, having picked up all the flags. And I wanted to leave you with this scary rock from the middle of the course. That's just one of my favorite rocks on the course. And I hope to see many of you next year at the race. We had about 100 this year, and we're hoping to increase the numbers. So come out to Moreau, even if it's not for the race. Come out and run, and definitely come out next year for the race. This is Bill Hoffman signing off for Mountain Dog Running. And I hope you enjoyed the whistle stop tour of the Moreau Half 2021 race.
All right, Bill, thanks for that clip. And moving over to PA, the Pennypack Trail Fest went down in Philadelphia with 20K, 40K, 60K. And then the View 25K put on by the PA Trail Dogs also went down. PA Trail Dogs consistently turn out some of the higher numbers in terms of trail participation. They've got a really engaged community down there, some pretty cool courses, solid elevation metrics, and just cool courses. So they put on the View 25K. This year they saw 282 finishers covering their signature course sections and pitches with Mason Coppi, one of the newest and fastest short distance trail runners in the Northeast, edging out David Hedges by 2 minutes for a win with a new course record of 1 hour and 55 minutes. Mason came down and ran the Danby Down and Dirty, a trail race outside of Ithaca just a few weeks ago, or maybe a month ago. I put a purse out on that race. I held the course record prior, which has stood for some time, and so I thought I'd have some fun by offering a $500 purse for anybody who could break my record. I think it had stood since maybe 2007, maybe. And so it worked. It brought some fast people out, and leading that charge was Mason, who just absolutely crushed my record. He is quick. And then David Hedges, also probably one of the strongest and fastest trail and ultra runners in the Northeast while we have both of them, maybe short term. So must have been pretty cool to see them exchange and battle a bit out there. Mason's mark is over 20 minutes under the prior course record. Should be mentioned that the top four were under that prior mark, so it was a fast day for the View. For the women, the indefatigable, something to that effect, Mira Menard took the win in 2:49 for the women. And also awesomely impressive was the finish by Natalie Rosamillia of not just the View, but of the 25K series. And here to provide us their views are Mason Coppi and Natalie Rosamillia. So to both of you, go ahead and take it.
Hello, I'm Mason Coppi, super stoked to be this week's Trails Collective Rundown feature. I'm originally from Southern California, just moved out to Syracuse. I'm a former NCAA Division I track and field / cross country runner, kind of getting a feel for trail racing, getting into all that. Currently being coached by the wonderful David Roach, so super stoked to be working with him as I get into trail racing. Part of the reason why I'm doing trail racing is I love it. I love running. I love being out on the trails. I knew I wanted to run competitively post-college, and bounding up mountains and flying down single track trails sounded like a heck of a lot more fun than doing circles around a track or pounding pavement in road racing. And so here I am. Most recently, I ran the View 25K out in Heiner, Pennsylvania. That's actually why I'm on here today, to kind of talk about that. It was a super fun race. It was actually my first time in Pennsylvania. It was gorgeous. Never realized how beautiful Pennsylvania was. So really, really happy I got the chance to get down there. The course was awesome. Had about 3,400 feet of vert in it, and had some really steep climbs, some really steep technical descents, very rocky, very rooty. Everything was covered in fall foliage, so you could barely see where you were putting your feet down, which is very different for me being a California boy, but I'm getting used to Northeast trail racing. I'm having a lot of fun with it. There was also some great competition out there, and that was probably my high of the race, was just going head to head with David Hedges, another amazing runner from Ithaca. Basically, how the race went down is the first mile was a negative grade on asphalt, so I took it out pretty quick. Took it out in about 5:15 the first mile. Kind of my theory with that is, in trail racing, you never know when you're going to be able to run fast. So any moment that I think I can run fast or near all out, I say go for it, and I shoot my shot, as my coach likes to say. So I went for it from the gun, opened up a decent lead, and I was feeling pretty good about myself. And then on the first descent, David just flew by me, and I did not have a response. He was straight up magic on those technical trails. And I was like, oh, okay, well, we got a race on our hands. I was able to catch him on the next ascent, which was an absolute buster of a hill. That's actually where you get to the view. I didn't really get to enjoy the view at the top of that ascent because I was so afraid of getting catched by David. So it was more of I got to the top, didn't really pause to see the view, and just tried to keep going again because I knew there was going to be another couple of sections of steep descent, and I kind of wanted to distance myself. And so that's kind of what I did, is I really pushed on the plateau section after that big climb, and I was feeling, again, pretty good about myself. But again, as soon as we started going downhill, David got back up to me again. I was like, shoot. But it was just awesome, honestly, to see him run. And then the next climb was another tough one. I think they actually had named that section the SOB portion, and I think that was a pretty good name for it. That is one of the only hills I've ever had to crawl up. That isn't an exaggeration. I was actually on my hands trying to not fall backwards. But again, I took the lead there again, and hit another plateau section, and it actually opened up into a bit of a grass road type thing. And so I just ran for my life at that point and just really tried to distance myself from David. And then we got into another technical downhill portion. And on the other technical downhills, I was mostly just focused on, not falling on my face. But I knew David was coming. So at that point, I was just like, screw it. If I get hurt, I get hurt. Like, we just got to send it. We got to go. And that's what I did, which was just super fun. It's always fun to get flying down on the trails. And I was happy enough, and I'm thankful to come away with the win this past Sunday, and I had a lot of fun. Again, competition was awesome. The volunteers out there were awesome. Sorry to the volunteers if I didn't say thank you on the course. Again, I was in my head fighting demons, especially at the top of the hills. If there was any aid stations there and I didn't stop to say thank you, I'm saying thank you now. Again, I was in a very dark place there. But just a wonderful event. Great event put on by the Pennsylvania Trail Dogs. And so that was an awesome race out there. Really happy to do it. I'd love to do it again. Kind of going from there, what I'm looking forward to, I'm kind of winding down my season now. That was basically my last big effort as we head into winter here. So I'm going to enter into a training block, hoping to kind of take some time to get really ready to take a big swing at some bigger events, both within the area and kind of more out in the West as well. This upcoming spring and summer in 2022, really trying to, put myself out there and, again, shoot my shot, make my name known, and just really help foster the trail running community, become a part of it. My goal pretty much every race is to just go out there and have fun, of course run fast. So I'm looking to do more of that, and I'm really excited for what the future holds, and just so excited to be out here trail racing, and thankful that Ian had me come on today. And so yeah, happy running.
Hey, good evening. We're with Natalie Rosamillia. Tell us about yourself.
I'm 10 years old. I live in State College. I am in 5th grade, and I like the colors green and brown.
It's a good start. So they want to talk to you tonight about your races. So why don't you start with why did you run so many races this year?
Well, when I was 7 years old, my parents have been running Heiner since I can remember. And this was probably my 6th or 7th Heiner watching them run. And seeing how happy they were when they crossed the finish line, I decided after the race that I wanted to do it. And so the next year, my mom was like, "Are you sure you want to do it?" And I said yes. And we did my first Heiner when I was 8 years old, 2 years ago. And sadly, we couldn't do it last year because of COVID, but this year we did it.
So you like to trail race?
Yes.
And tell us what happened in 2021 with trail racing.
Well, in 2021, my dad asked me if I wanted to do the trail series of half marathons, and I said sure. So we started out very chilly in the frozen snot and ended in the Highland Scramble. And halfway through the year, I decided I wanted to do the 25K series. So my latest race, the Heiner View, I did that with John Schaefer. And sadly, my dad couldn't make it, but he has been to all my other races.
And what's it like to run with your dad?
He's very motivating sometimes.
In what way? Tell us.
Well, sometimes he'll give you the old push to the back.
So physically motivating.
And mentally.
Like what? What does he say?
Rocky Balboa a lot.
There's a lot of Rocky Balboa lines. Got it. And there's some music beforehand too,
Yes.
right? What's he say when you're about to go downhill?
It's time to shine.
And what about the trails do you like the best?
I like when you're by a stream, like in Huff Run, and you can just fly down the hills.
And did you have any bad parts of the year?
Well, 2 weeks ago, I got a very big scratch on my knee, and that was my only big fall.
Were there any times where you really hated the trail?
Yes.
Like when?
In Greenwood Furnace, there was a lot of road, and I don't like road.
Why?
Because I'm a trail racer, and that's road. And just,
Is it boring?
yes.
Yeah. And you like the climbs, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, throughout 2021, how many races do you think you did?
I did about 14 or 15 races.
What was your favorite one?
Probably the Frozen Snot.
Why?
It's cold, and at the end of the race, I felt like I could have done 5 more miles.
Wow. I don't think many people really say that. So that's when I knew that you could do the series. And that was actually the first race of the series. So tell us also about what the races are like. Not just the running, but say the rest of it.
Well, I really like when you're on the trail and you meet someone new. That's how I met a lot of people like Miss Stephanie.
Yeah, Stephanie Bettison. And anyone else who's been kind of motivating along the way?
John Schaefer.
Why?
He's just a very motivating guy.
What was it like to run a long race like the View with him?
very fun. And another person who motivates me, but also gets on my nerves, is my boy Christian out there. You know you're there.
Christian Glotfeldy has become her friend and nemesis at the races, and so that's great. I think the trail community has been a fun set of new friends for our family, and she has this great set of adult fan club that basically when she comes across the finish line are cheering her on and really making noise along the way to help her. I'd like to know about this pile of sunglasses right here. What's going on there?
Well,
And this is Charlie, her little brother, who's 5.
every race I've done, I've gotten sunglasses, and these are just a few sunglasses I have.
And why?
I don't really know.
Is that your favorite pair you have on there?
Probably.
So we find Natalie kind of browses the shop before the race even starts and earmarks different pairs of sunglasses and other gear that she wants to have. And
This one is called Phoenix at Bloody Mary Bar.
wow. Okay, give
They
us.
have very interesting names.
How do you feel about the people who run the races? The people who organize the races.
Well, I really like them, and Tanya, she always sets aside a pair of sunglasses that I like.
Yeah. What else?
Well, Craig is very fast,
He's very fast. Yep.
and yeah.
Yeah, they keep the trails looking amazing and they motivate people to be involved. And from very young to much older, everyone feels very welcome at all these races. Is there anything else you want to tell us?
Well, I want to thank my mom for being our water girl all year.
I was your water girl. Yeah, yes.
And I want to thank my little brother for being our water boy.
Yes, he is our water boy. That's Charlie. Hi.
And I'd like to thank my dad for running all the races with me.
Absolutely. He's out of town right now, so he's probably going to make a separate video. And her brother Charlie wants to say something. You want to head over and talk with Nat after you chew that cucumber? All right. Yep, keep chewing. That's great. Anything you want to say about Natalie's races?
Well, she ran lots of them. I know she already thanked Dad for running them, and I know we're her water girl, and that's it.
Are you proud of her?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Do you think those races are kind of easy or are they hard?
Really hard.
Really
for
hard.
Natalie.
Yeah. I think they're really hard for anybody, huh? Tell us about do you want to do those someday?
Yes.
Yeah. Like what?
Heiner
He thinks there's one race called the Heiner Snot, and there is not, but that's the one he wants to run. So, well, from the Rosamillia family, we wanted to say that we thank you for.
and we love that you got to see her downstairs.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
love that.
Let's do it this way. From the Rosamillia family, we thank you. Have a good evening.
So Mason, nice work on another wicked fast effort. And Natalie, you are truly incredible. Nice work on that series. I hope you continue to, love the sport, love the trails, and continue to achieve absolutely awesome things. So great job. You are tough. All right, moving down to Virginia. The Cross County Trail Marathon and Half ran in Springfield. The Gritty Leaks Trail Marathons in Goochland. And the Midnight Maniac 13-hour in Williamsburg, Virginia. And then one with clips are on my deeper radar is Mountain Masochist Trail Run, running in Lynchburg. To give you a bit of history, 1983, Nike launched the first iteration of the Pegasus. I think Montrail, who was, what was their prior name? One Sport, I think at the time, launched what would become the Vitesse in the trail running world. So an early trail model. I tried to get a pair of those, but I couldn't recently. I've got some historic trail shoes in that I have in here, including one of the originals here, but I was not able to get one of the Vitesses. It would have been a cool shoe just to have in from that piece of history. But in any case, 1983. In that year, Mount Masochist also ran its inaugural running. It's an event that has some of the deepest roots in the country, in our region. It was on my radar when I got into trail and ultra in 2000 and, I guess around 2001. And I was just aware it was one of the longest running and just kind of respected trail races out there. Montreal went on to create, at the time, I think a wide favorite, which was the Masochist trail shoe, and it's just been a great community. This year on a revamped course, 131 finished the 50 mile with McLane Grow and Kate Mingle on top in 7:59 and 9:10 respectively. And 64 finished the 50K with Joshua Thomas and Rachel Spaulding taking the respective wins in 4:40 and 4:54. Giving us a rundown of the event and their days out there, 50 mile winner went McLane Grow and women's 50K winner Rachel Spaulding.
Hey everyone, my name is McLane Grow. Thanks Ian for having me on this week on the Trails Collective. First time on, so happy to kind of debrief the Mountain Masochist race that did happen this past weekend here in the great state of Virginia. So if you guys are not familiar with Mountain Masochist, it's a 50-mile race that's been put on for a long time now. I think it's an East Coast staple. Originally started by Dave Horton, and then Clark Zeeland took on the race directing, and now it's directed by a guy named Todd Hacker. This year was a new course. In previous years, it's been a point-to-point course, starting outside of Lynchburg and ending in Montebello. So kind of basically just following the Blue Ridge Parkway on Forest Service roads and single track trail. This year though, starting in Montebello and finishing in Montebello. So it basically covered the whole second half of the original course with some loops thrown in to get to that 50-mile mark. Going into the race, I had just run Grindstone 7 weeks ago. I'm also doing the B series this year. So I've already run 3 50Ks this year: Holiday Lake, Promised Land, Terrapin, Grindstone. So this is race number 5 of the 6 race series, and I'll be wrapping up with Hellgate next month. So Masochist is a favorite of mine. It's my 3rd time running it. I was lucky enough to win in 2019, and I came in 4th place in 2018. So really excited to get back to Masochist. It's a great time of the year to be in Virginia running the mountains. The fall foliage is absolutely beautiful. The temperatures are ideal for racing. But having just run 100 miles 7 weeks ago, just that fire wasn't there for me. I was fatigued mentally. Legs are still fatigued from a hot Grindstone year. So yeah, I didn't really know what to expect going into the race. I'm competitive, so I definitely wanted to win, or at least just compete. And I knew there were a few guys that would kind of hold me accountable for that. So the race started at 5:10 a.m. bright and early Saturday morning. It was a balmy 26 degrees at the race start. And yeah, we got going. It was probably 6 to 10 guys climbing the first 4 miles or so together. Just kind of feeling it out. No one really pushed the pace too early going uphill. I think everyone's just kind of warming up to the really, really cold temperatures for this time of year in Virginia, and just feeling it out to make sure that people knew what they were getting into. Once you top out at about mile 7, I believe, maybe mile 8, you hit a nice little Forest Service gravel road going downhill. So once we hit that downhill, you definitely saw those 6 to 10 dudes kind of gap each other a little bit. I wasn't feeling super well. My stomach was bothering me. And I just didn't want to push it too hard. I had learned a lot of lessons from my Grindstone experience, and I really wanted to apply those lessons to Masochist. So I took care of some stomach problems, started feeling a little bit better, kept the nutrition up, and by about mile 15, 16, I was back in 2nd place. I knew Steve Tucker, who was in first at that point, had really kind of gapped some people on the downhill. So I didn't really expect to see him for a while. The cool thing about this, the out and back course, is that the mile 21 marker, you turn around, you hit Long Mountain Wayside at Route 60, and you go back up Buck Mountain towards Mount Pleasant. So you do get to see a bunch of runners coming up, and as you're coming up, you see runners coming down. So you get a good idea to see what people look like and the gaps you have, or the gaps you have to go out and catch. So coming down Long Mountain Wayside, mile 21, saw Steve Tucker. He was probably 2 minutes up the aid station at that point, so I figured 4 minutes. I got to the aid station. My wife was not there. My buddy James Loom was also running the race, and my wife and his wife were crewing together. They unfortunately got lost getting to the aid station, so I did not see them, which, whew, man, pre-Grindstone, I would have thrown a mental fit. I would have freaked out and just got all up in my head, but learned a lot from Grindstone and just kind of kept my composure. Knew I had enough nutrition to get me to the Mount Pleasant Loop in aid station, and just was like, all right, cool, let's go for it. Took off back up the climb. It's about a 4-mile climb. It's a pretty good climb, especially after you just pounded down that climb. The quads are feeling it. So I took off in second out of the aid station and quickly realized that my quads were fatigued from Grindstone. Just didn't have that pop that you want to have in a race. So I slogged through those 6 miles to the loop in aid station at the bottom of Mount Pleasant. Got there, saw my wife, which is a nice little energy booster, and threw back a cup of Mountain Dew. And at that point, I had just gotten passed by third place, and I was in third. Told my wife I just did not feel it today. But as soon as I took that Mountain Dew, I hopped back up on the loop in, which is your first bit of single track, and just took off. My legs woke up. I found my pace, took over second pretty quickly into the loop in, climbed the loop really efficiently, and was pretty happy with my effort. Coming down the loop back into that same aid station, I saw a glimpse of Steve Tucker in front of me, so I knew I caught that 4-minute gap that I needed to. Took some grilled cheeses at the aid station mile 31, knowing that I was in a good spot to catch first and kind of hold on to first. So I spent the next few miles keeping Steve in front of me, knowing that from what he looked like and how I felt, I was going to catch him. So mile 37, I caught him on a downhill. He was still feeling pretty good, but yeah, passed him and hit some pretty slow miles moving forward. It's a lot of trail that is not commonly used, not high use, so it's a lot of ankle deep leaves. So it's like a grade that on a normal day-to-day run, you're running. A grade when you're mile 42 into a race, it's a power hike and it's a effort to run it. So the last 8 miles are slow, but didn't see anyone behind me on the one other out and back we had. I did see Steve, but I had a 4-minute gap on at that point, and I just passed him a mile ago. So I knew I was gaining on him. And from there on, I hit the 4-mile marker, which is a Forest Service gate. And basically from there, it's all downhill. I took off. I know that course from that point on really well, and I really just hammered it home, having no idea how close second place was behind me. But I did know I wanted a sub-8 finish, and was really grateful to get across the line just under 8 hours, and defend my Masochist title. So yeah, back-to-back Masochist champion. It's a pretty cool feeling, but just want to thank the race director Todd Hacker, Clark Zeeland for the Lynchburg Ultra Series, Dave Horton for coming up with these races, and all the guys and women that do these races. You guys make it fun, super enjoyable, and that's why we could keep coming back to do it over and over again. So thank you guys, and cheers.
Hey, this is Rachel Spaulding from Blacksburg, Virginia. Last Saturday, I ran in the Mountain Masochist 50K. It was the first year for this race, so that was really exciting to be a part of. the 50-mile race that is also the same day. From what I understand, is pretty historic. It's been around like 20 years maybe. So there's been been some changes throughout the years, and I think this year probably brought the biggest changes. But it was a great time to be a part of it, especially because they didn't have it last year. So the race starts and finishes in Montebello, Virginia. It's put on by Todd Hacker and Clark Zealand and EcoX Sports, their company. So they do a really good job with it. The course itself is kind of a mix of everything. Trail, gravel, technical stuff, not technical stuff. So it really keeps you guessing. It's also an out and back course, so that was pretty fun because on the way back you got to see some familiar faces or just some happy faces kind of cheering you on. So that was definitely a high point for me. The course is like 32 miles and a little less than 6,000 feet of gain. So definitely pretty runnable, but also some spots that hiking is probably a little bit more beneficial. So for me, the race went really well. It was kind of a tune-up race, getting ready for 100K in December, but I started well, started strong. I'm working on pushing my downhills a little bit because I tend to be a little bit stronger on the climb. So I focused on the downhills and then also just a strong second half and not dying. So that was good for me. The one thing I love about these Virginia races is just that there's so many people that, they're so excited to be there. A lot of people know each other. It's a really welcoming community. So as much as it's fun to go to some of these bigger name races or go elsewhere, I just love the Virginia races and what they have to offer. So I told myself during the race that I was going to hang with some of the women and just kind of see what happens. But like always, I found myself in the front because I have, I guess, lack of self-control. But so I found myself in the front from the beginning, running with some of the men. When I go uphill, I felt like I could make some ground, and then they were just gone on the downhill. So I guess I still have some work there, but it was fun to kind of chip some of them off, especially on the second half. So for me, I finished in 4:54, and I was the first female and then 4th overall. So yeah, it was a good day. Next for me is Hellgate 100K. So just carrying fitness into that.
So great job, McLane and Rachel. And Rachel, looking forward to seeing you in a few weeks at Hellgate. Bouncing back up to Vermont, the Rutfest Running Festival ran in Williston. I did not get more info on that this week. And in West Virginia, the Rim to River 100 in the New River Gorge ran. Rim to River looks like an absolutely beautiful course. Pictures and I think stories and finish reports of people finishing this past weekend were flooding my Facebook feed. So it's definitely in short order becoming a regional favorite. In only their second year, they saw 143 finishers, with the leaders just absolutely crushing it. Caleb William Bowen established in a pretty iconic photo taken there of him kneeling after the finish. An incredible effort with a new course record of 15:37. And Dan Green being relatively hot in pursuit with an also flying 15:52 for second. Maybe not the most technical course, not the most elevation gain out there, but fairly honest in both of those regards. So to run mid-15s, that is just smoking. And for the women, Holly Ann Swan having a great year, threw down also wicked fast and tough 19 hours for 4th overall and the new women's course record. So we did get a clip in from Caleb Bowen on that effort and event. So Caleb, take it.
Hey there, Trail Collective Nation. My name is Caleb Bowen, and I recently won the Rim to River 100. This is the second annual race that they've put on. It was just a fun day on the gorge. I mean, we couldn't have asked for better weather. It started off at around 28 degrees at the start line. And then it got up to about 55 degrees at the heat of the day. And then, throughout the night, it got down into the 24, 25 range. But, it was a great day. Me and second place, Daniel Green, And even the female winner went out in the first like 14 miles altogether. We didn't really check on pace too much, but we ended up running like mid eights, 8 minute pace, 9 minute pace, which is a really technical section as well. And then me and the second place runner, Daniel Green, ended up running the rest of the way together up until the turnaround point. Then that's when I kind of opened up a gap, and he literally chased me the entire rest of the day. I would come into an aid station, and as I was coming out, he would be rolling in. So we had a cat and mouse game for, the better part of the last 48 miles. So it was super fun. My goal going into it was to run around 17 hours, hopefully breaking 17 hours, but ended up running 15 hours and 36 minutes. Daniel Green, it was his debut 100, and he ran 15 hours and 52 minutes. So we had a heck of a day. The female winner, Holly Ann Swan, she ended up running 19 hours flat. She had a fantastic day. Especially since she got hurt last year during this race, and she still finished running 27 hours, almost 28. But cutting down to 19 was just fantastic. But overall, just a great weekend. Couldn't ask for a better race. The race director, Bryant Baker, did an awesome job. He kept everybody safe. It was a great time. So I definitely recommend running the Rim to River 100 in 2022. So hopefully see you soon at another trail race, and good luck out there.
So great job, Caleb. That is absolutely incredible. And good luck to you and your team also in regionals this weekend. All right. Events this coming weekend. On November 13th, 14th, Bold Coast Bash Trail, 10 mile, 20 mile, 30 mile. And actually, this is all up. It's 10 and a half, I think 21 and 31.5 now, running in Cutler, Maine. This is one that I am in the mix for. I have our women's regional race goes off at, I think, noon on Saturday. My women should all be done, and I'll be able to just touch base at 12:30. Then I got to get my car and race to the airport to fly up to Maine to run this on Sunday. Don't have any intentions of running fast or competing, but I am excited to see this absolutely beautiful course, which I also ranked in some of the most scenic in the Northeast. So that's what's coming at me. There's the MDT Challenge Trail Race 7-miler in Darlington, Maryland. Rosaryville Veterans Day 50K in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. Stone Mill 50 Mile in Montgomery Village, Maryland. Running the Beast Rewind, way over yonder Trail Series 10K, 20K, 50K in Hewitt, New Jersey. Southern Harvest 24-hour Endurance Challenge, 24-hour in Williamson, West Virginia. The I'm going to pronounce it wrong in a moment. Pocatico, something like that. Hills Marathon in Sleepy Hollow, New York, and the Old Glory Ultra 50K in Glen Lynn, Virginia. So that's what's coming up in the Northeast. I hope you all have good adventures on deck or pretty chill weekends ahead. And yeah. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sharing in your feeds. Thanks for supporting the channel in any way, shape, or form. It's very much appreciated. Always clue me into events that you see coming up, things that I miss. If you've done something cool or see something out there, if you want to submit a clip, always welcome those. And till that time, I will catch you next week. See ya!